afterwards.
Perfect.
I'm gonna put my face on for a second so he knows that it's actually me. Hi. And then turn it back off. Like I said, I'm downstairs with my family right now, so they're in the background. It's
Sorry, we lost everybody for a minute.
all good.
Can
Zoom
you
can be.
hear us?
What was that?
Are you back on?
Was it me that froze up?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Oh my heck, I was like trying to figure out what's going on. So
Oh, it's
yeah.
all good.
Zoom tends to be very picky sometimes.
Yes, it does. Cool. Oh, sorry. Two little pups. Cool.
Okie dokie. So I guess this meeting is just really to talk about the Mary Griffin case.
The case study that we went through today.
Yeah.
So what were you guys' thoughts on it?
I'll let for all you guys say something first, and I have my thoughts. So it's up to you guys.
For me, I feel like his last name's York.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Simon. He really lacks professionalism. Like, it seems that he's a good brand manager in the sense of he knows what's good for the brand, but he's not a good manager in the relationships he has with his employees and the people who are under him and other coworkers.
And I agree with you there, and I also think it could have been a thing where the lack of communication it was the cause of the entire situation, where the lack of communication between the brand manager, the production team, telling them what exactly they wanted, and then with the Griffin over all of it, not communicating what was needed, and when the incident happened, being kind of lax towards him a little bit with how she reacted, and not really communicating what needed to be done and how he should have acted, rather than she just kind of was like, oh, it was probably an isolated incident, when 9 out of 10 times when you think that way, it's going to happen again unless it's brought up and had a conversation about.
Yes.
Obviously, Simon York knows his business. He knows the products. He knows what he needs to do to, he knows his job. He knows, I don't even know how I'm saying this right now. But he doesn't know how to communicate with others. He doesn't know how to lead and guide others. The personalization is gone. And I've met a lot of people like that. And it's a skill that either you have or you don't. And
Yeah.
you can learn it if you're willing to take the time.
That was
actually,
like, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry, I cut you off there. Go ahead.
But what I was going to say is that's pretty much what I got the basis on. Being in the military, you have a skill to learn, but in order to get up to that leadership, you have to go through a lot of training. And what they did is they just threw somebody in there that knew the job. But the problem is what we've seen in lack of leadership is exactly like this, because they don't know what they're honestly doing. It's basically ignorance is bliss is what this one comes down to, because he doesn't know his job except what the main job and idea is, but not how to be a leader, a psychologist, anything like that that goes with management skills. So they just tossed this random person that was a normal worker, that we want to call him, and he turns out to be this pompous jackal that no one wants to work with now because he just offended a bunch of people. They're scared of him because he was yelling, and then he sits there and berates people. You can't do that. That's just completely wrong. That's a huge lawsuit just in itself right there. And you have to be careful on those things.
And leading through fear never gets anything done. It will
No.
maybe it'll get things done in the short term, but in the long term, you'll gain resentment and people will stop listening to you because they think they know better, because they've been yelled at for so long. They decided, okay, if I'm not going to be taught this, I'll learn it myself, and then I will try to lead rather than be yelled at all the time.
Mhm.
See, when I led my men in battle, the first thing I would always tell them was, do your job and we won't have any issues. I'll let you do anything you want. I'll let you have fun, play, do whatever. But the minimum thing you have to do is do your job. That is a leader right there, a skill in itself, because you can't sit there and worry about the small things. I've learned this going through leadership. Before I got out, I was a first class petty officer. I was an E6. So I had to sit there and weigh the pros and cons of being a leader. And those were taught to me, though, going through each rank that I made in the Navy. So, when we went into battle, my guys trusted me. They loved me because I wasn't one of those jerks that was like, okay, you have to do this. Okay, you didn't do this. Now you're in trouble. You don't do that to your guys. If you really want to lose friendship, you want to lose morale, you want to basically lose your guys underneath you or have people quit. Obviously, maybe you can't, but that's just another way to have them distrust you and disarm. They'll go up in arms, and it can turn into an ugly situation.
Mhm.
Something that I was thinking about when I was reading this, in one of my other classes, I don't remember which one, but we read this book, or we focused on the E-Myth, and one of the things that that book talks about is how every person has like 3 different personalities when it comes to like business and work, and there's the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur.
Yep.
And Simon, or for the most part, people are really good at one of those personalities, but like a technician doesn't make a good manager because the technician focuses on the work and the manager focuses on the people, and Simon seems to fall into the technician category where he knows his job and he knows what his job requires, but he doesn't really know the system, the like people that do those jobs and how it like reflects.
Yeah, he's too worried about the details of the job and not on the people that are working on the details.
Yeah.
Details can always come later. It's just, main focus is just getting the
Mhm.
job done. And that's what we need to look at. Mistakes are made, that happens, and we can always fix them. Every mistake can be fixable.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It seems like Simon blows up on the little things, like what she said, Morgan. Mistakes can be corrected. There's nothing, for me, in my opinion, there's nothing about your job that's worth losing the respect and relationship you have with your coworkers and your employees. Because in the end, it's just a job, it's just your 9 to 5. You get out of it and you get done. But the like relationships, it affects you at work and it affects you outside of work.
See, my wife is a case manager and she loves working with the disabled. That's one of her favorite things to do. She's so sweet. I don't have the patience. I don't, but she does. And one thing she said that she always sees people quit over are the small things in her line of work,
Yeah.
or they get frustrated or angry. And you have to understand, you're working with disabled people. You can't get them to do the little small details. You have to teach them along the way. And that's what she is so good at. And I love about her, and I will say that I don't know where she gets it from, but yeah, she's amazing for those little things, those simple things. But again, with my guys, they're obviously not disabled, but I just learned you have to go with the flow, you know. Again, they're your guys, you love them, they're like your kids when you manage them. And that's what Simon had to look at. He wasn't obviously taught that leadership to do so. So he just looks at everybody as an enemy. And there is another skill that goes with that one. But when you can't see your guys as, you know, your foe, your partner, your friend, they're everybody is a stranger and enemy to you, and they can come and go. You know, that's the way you look at them. I know you have something to say, Jess.
I've just been thinking, because I work with children. I work at an elementary school. I've been the office assistant the last 2 years, and I'm waiting, hopefully tomorrow's the day, by the sounds of it, it is, to be offered the administrative secretary position.
Nice.
Nice.
But, and I mentioned this during my interview, that the work that I do, all the paperwork, I do all the payroll, the finances for the building. I mean, I take care of all of that, all the orders, everything. That's important, yes. But my relationship with the students, my relationship with the staff, the parents, and the community involvement that we have within our school, that is top priority.
Yes.
If I make a mistake on anything else, I can fix those. But if I make a mistake with one of my employees, a parent, a student, that's where I'm going to start to crumble. Because I need their support to be able to back me up to do my job. And if I offend a parent, if I really upset one of my staff members, it's going to cause a lot more problems than a simple mistake as with the labels in our case study. The labels can be corrected.
Interpersonal relations are harder to fix than logistical corrections.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, your relationships carry with you. Like, how many times have so many different brands changed their packaging, or you've seen like a printing error on a product that you got and you don't care about it? You don't,
yeah,
you use the product just the same. It's not any different.
You understand it's probably just a mistake because it was just a wrong input or something like that. And it's the same thing. It's just,
yeah,
they made a mistake, but that's not a problem. We all make them.
Let me ask you this. Are you literally going to look at a package and go, oh my gosh, it's a holy grail of everything. The X Games is all of it. I mean, seriously, come on. Oh, who cares? It just
honestly, how often do I actually fully look at a package?
Thank you. I don't.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Oh, great. That's a Snicker bar. That's all I care about.
That's exactly the truth, though. It's a Carmelo. That's all I need. I don't care about what it looks like.
It's ice cream. I mean, come on.
It's not going to look pretty. It's going down my throat. That's all that matters, you know? So.
Yeah. But I also think that, like what you all said, like it doesn't matter what the product looks like, but if you read on the news that the brand manager for X company is a horrible person, treats their employees badly, yells at them over little things, you're like, I don't want to support that company. And so having good relationships with people is way more important than a non-prominent X, you know,
a misprint.
Well, let's give right now, and I lived in Washington, by the way, so I know a lot of what's going on. I actually just moved from Longview, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was going to say is look at the police. Let's give them an example of how they're treating, you know, our police officers there. I mean, my brother-in-law, he's a cop that works with children, and he has the most troubled kids. I'm not kidding. What does Oregon do? Because he works on that side. They tell him you can't arrest anybody, even if they're causing trouble. What did a kid do? He grabbed a crane. I'm not kidding. This is not made up. Ran it through a store with the wrecking ball and destroyed the whole entire front. And they couldn't arrest him. So that tells you right there how they treat their employees. You know, do I want to be a police officer for Oregon or Washington? Seriously, come on. I mean, just making a simple mistake, they were just firing all the police officers. And I'm just giving that as an example of, like you said, a company. You know, I'm not going to go work for them if they look like crap, if they treat their employees like garbage.
Mm-hmm.
So
If you feel like you're not going to be respected or your patronage is not going to be respected, then why ever be a part of it?
So there's some questions on the meeting agenda.
yeah,
Um,
it's like that too. So
so what do you think, what do you guys think Mary could do to either help Simon or change something about what's going on?
Well, obviously, Simon has proven that he knows what he is doing when it comes to the products. But he doesn't have that relationship skill and how to build that. I think in the long run, he might have a really good chance of being a really good manager.
oh yeah.
I think one thing that Mary could do is to offer to be a to coach him and help him with this. And
Or basically.
yeah,
Mhm. Give
to help
him, try
guide him. Yeah.
try to teach him the skills that he needs to actually talk to the production team rather than once there's a mistake, snap at the production team.
Mhm.
Learn how to say, hey, we made this mistake, can we fix this, rather than this is wrong, this needs to be fixed, and it's your fault that it's wrong.
Mhm.
So the way I looked at this is, believe it or not, this is actually the company's fault. Because before
Oh, yeah.
looking further into his skills of what he really had to take to be a manager, they just threw him in there because he basically brought the whole presentation. That's wonderful and everything, but did you happen to sit back and go, okay, how do you manage people? And if he couldn't give me a clear answer, I'd be like, nope, not happening. So this is really on managers and the company. Now they put somebody in there who doesn't know what they're managing and they need to train him. So again, it's on the company. This was their fault.
And that was like one of the main parts that was in the case study is how Griffin reacted, was like, oh, he's probably just asserting his dominance because he's new to this.
Mhm.
And she should have seen it as, hey, this is a sign that I need to start teaching him how to do the job rather than just letting him try to figure it out on his own.
Yep.
Where instead she went to, I'm just going to have a meeting with him and that's it. I'm not really going to have a conversation with him. I'm not really going to reprimand the action and fix it. I'm going to just let it run.
So I'll give an example of what I did in the Navy. So before I became a corpsman, I was an ABE, which I launched and recovered aircraft on carriers. I was driving on the FOD team. I was temporary assigned, and I ran over the catapult. It's the shuttle that launches the aircraft that hooks into the holdback bar. My supervisor yelled at me, which I deserved it because I ran it over, not realizing what I did. I was tired, didn't have sleep for probably 2 weeks, and I was exhausted, and I was up there cleaning the flight deck. He came down after, and this is a good supervisor. He goes, I'm so sorry for yelling. I overreacted, but he goes, you need to learn the consequences of what you did. And this is before I became petty officer. I was snarman. And I did. I learned from my actions, and I was very cautious after that. But that's what you need, is to have a leader, again, like you said, Jess, mentor, take you through everything and teach you what you did wrong and what you need to do right.
And be willing to also say that they were wrong at times as well.
Yes.
With when they snap like that and then go, hey, I was overreacting. I need to fix my own, but this is what you need to do.
Yes.
I think this happens a lot where really good employees get promoted to manager even when they don't have managerial experience or any experience leading people, you know. And so I think like along with what you guys are saying, if Mary shows him, like coaches him or provides other resources like outside etiquette classes or managing classes, you know, I think that would help him a lot.
Yes. I agree.
I agree.
I won't lie. I had at Lowe's just recently, I'm in the middle of a lawsuit with them because a manager overstepped his boundaries with me. And I only went and got a job because I was bored. And he actually, in front of everybody, sat there and yelled at me and mocked me in front of me, and then tried to entrap me in the office because he thought he had every right to do so. So yes, I'm in the middle of a lawsuit with them. So this is exactly another example of bad management. Now, did I tell him I was going to deck him and probably put his face in the door if he didn't move? Yes, I did. So I'm waiting on that one right now. Sorry. I'm just giving examples of bad management because this is true. It's really what's going on.
Yep.
This guy has been moved from 2 stores, by the way, as a manager.
Wow.
Yeah, instead of taking care of the issue, they keep moving him.
They're avoiding rather than fixing.
Yeah.
And they already settled another lawsuit with another veteran because he had PTSD, and he basically fired him for it, and they had to settle out of court for that one.
The same
Yes.
manager?
Same
Is
guy.
the company not seeing?
Oh, both of them go.
Wow.
And I'm not saying anything bad about Lowe's, but yes, it's Layton Lowe's, Layton, Utah.
I've heard a lot of stories come out of that place.
Big. So this is another case of all this that could have been avoided.
Definitely. And honestly, this is, if you're going to be promoting somebody into a manager position, I'm wondering if the company as a whole needs to look at the way that they do that. And not just single out Simon, which he needs to be.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
if they move anybody up into a manager position, I would assume that they should all go through some kind of manager training or have a mentor beside them, and it should just be the same thing straight across the board for everybody that gets moved up.
Yeah, so like I had a coworker at my job. I work up at Weber State, if that makes sense. And I had my coworker that I worked with for I think 3 years, just hourly. She got moved up into a manager position, and it wasn't. Oh, she talks to the boss, and that's what gets it to. She had to go through all the other stuff through all of Weber State. She had to go through all the training, all of the interviews, all the evaluations and everything before they even considered her for the management position. And then they had an interview to finally finalize if she would get it or not. But it took her a bit to get to that point before they even said, we'll do that. And that is more of like a precaution to try and stop people like Simon having that, like getting up to a management position, but not being actually prepared to handle a management position and having this sort of like snap reaction to certain situations.
I think it should also, like, current managers and current heads of department should also go through training along with the new managers. Like
Mhm.
teachers and doctors also have to regularly go through learning to their
Mhm.
license. And I think that should be the same for managers, especially managers that have been in the business for 10 plus years, you know, because times change so fast, you know.
Bear.
Definitely.
Go. Go on, baby. Go boy. Sorry. Oops. He's my big baby. That's all I can say. Now, the other thing that I was going to point out is I had a chief that I loved. He, I don't know, I was thinking about these things, and if someone did something wrong, in order to not send them to captain's mass, it's basically kind of like court martial for the Navy. He would make them stand and apologize, write a letter out, and literally get the whole entire division together, and he would have to say an apology. And I like that because it made him more humble, the kid or whoever it was. And it actually taught him that, nobody's after me. They're actually trying to watch out for me. Just because, yeah, half the crap that we do, it could go to captain's mass because the UCMJ holds it. But, I was thinking, what if they made him apologize, Simon, to whoever he did this to? Maybe just hold a small meeting, doesn't have to berate him. And then they need to apologize themselves as well to Simon for not teaching him the right steps to, what he needs to do in his position.
Yeah.
Well, and just think about if Simon goes and apologizes to the team who he definitely wronged, what kind of an impact is that going to be? What message is that going to be leaving to those employees of his? This last school year was really hard. My head secretary has early onset Alzheimer's.
Mhm.
And it was put me in a really tough position. And there was one day I was really overly frustrated with her because I couldn't get her to do something I needed her to do because we had another situation. And so I had to leave my situation to go and do her work. And in the process, I had students cross me and they were being extremely disrespectful to several people, several staff. And we've had constant problems with these students. And I overstepped and I went and I was not nice to that teacher because I was done.
Yeah.
And after I took a step back and I talked to my principal about it, I took it upon myself and I went down and I talked to that teacher one-on-one and I apologized for my frustration on a completely different situation that I took out on her and her students.
Yep.
And since then, her and my relationship, we've got a strong relationship because I was able to humble myself and apologize for my actions that were wrong. And I wonder what kind of a reaction Simon would receive from his staff members if they see their leader being humble and coming down to their level and apologizing.
I know I'd be blown away. I'd be like, well, what the heck? He actually likes us? What's going on? I'd be happier.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about my chief is you can't berate the kid after, we actually getting together as like a group. That's one thing about the Navy I love is we're all brothers. It really is brotherhood. And just like you say, it's a different story mentality when you apologize. It really is. I mean, you made friendships with yours and you're probably like sisters now, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the same thing should happen with them though.
I think especially, oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Keep going.
I think if he apologized, especially to Tim, I believe, who was the one that made the error on the slides. If he apologized to him, because when Simon yelled at Tim in the middle of the meeting, he was probably super embarrassed and super just felt super down about himself. If he apologized, like you guys shared examples with, the relationship between Simon and Tim would be like 1,000 times stronger, and he'd feel much more comfortable coming to Simon when Tim made errors.
Oh yeah.
Pride is the bane of connection. If you're willing to accept that you make a mistake and move and take responsibility for that mistake, that can no longer be that barrier between connection with people around you.
Now it has taken upon the other person though, when you do apologize, to accept it. Now you already asked for forgiveness. It's on to them now,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
their now, basically. I think that's what you're saying, Garrett,
Yes.
Okay. So that's what I was understanding.
Glad you understood that, because that's exactly what I meant.
Yep. So one of the questions I'm looking at, how can Mary best reinforce the culture after she does talk to Simon?
I think part of that is if York agrees to some kind of mentor or additional training, and they make that aware to the staff.
Yep.
I think just the staff realizing that, oh, he made a mistake, he hopefully has apologized, and that he is trying to learn from this and trying to do better in the future. I think that right there will help with the morale.
Yeah, I think if it was kept like a secret and kept like hush, it would feel like they weren't handling the situation. They weren't doing anything to correct what was done wrong.
I'm sorry, guys. I gotta go for a second. I apologize.
That's
Okay.
okay.
You're good.
But if it's made public, then it would be comforting to the people that were wronged and that it's being handled,
And this is another thing, is that with the whole panicking about losing a brand deal, the way he acted would actually make the brand deal reconsider before the mistake on the labels would.
Yeah.
It would make him reconsider faster than the labels, because the labels, they understand, oh, it was just a misprint. A manager getting mad at the production team over a slight is even worse, where it's like, oh, he doesn't actually respect his coworkers, his employees. Why should we be working with them again? And if they're willing to like teach him and help him get better and help him learn how to work with people, they won't have that situation where they have to worry about, oh, I'm going to lose a brand deal because of this, and this.
Mhm.
Something else I just thought about was during the review meeting where Tim made the error on the slide, if if Simon got all the way to the meeting and didn't notice the error, I don't know how they like do it. It's probably like Tim did the slide and then sent it to Simon for like finalization or something like that. Why didn't Simon catch it before,
Mhm.
I'm just speculating here and it's kind of off topic, but
No, it's all good. I
did
mean,
he not read through? Did he not prepare
it's
the presentation beforehand?
Because, no, go for it, honey.
yeah, sorry. If he was actually trying to lead his group and actually try to make the presentation well, he would have actually done a read through long before. He probably would have been in the room when they were making the presentation, making sure that it looked good, rather than being surprised when they got there, like, oh, this was a mistake. Instead of, he would have been like, it wouldn't have had a mistake. He would have been in there. He would have been a part of it. He would have been paying attention to every detail rather than, oh, I'm here now. I don't know what to do because I wasn't there in the first place. But yeah, that would be why it shouldn't have happened in the first place if he had actually been in the room.
But honestly, how many managers are right there on top of everything you do?
That's true.
Yeah.
They should have at least like checked it before they went in.
I mean, if I was the manager, I would want to be involved.
Mhm.
And I would want to be able to double check over things and giving that extra eye, but giving the employees the freedom to do their own thing.
Oh yeah, of course.
But at the same time, if I'm going to go and be doing a big presentation over this, I'm going to want to know that I've looked through it thoroughly
Mhm.
and I'm not going to have a surprise.
That's
Yeah.
what I meant. Sorry, I was a little bit more harsher than I was planning.
No, you're good.
No, I agree with you, both of you. If like I understand that it's a monthly meeting and so it's probably super casual, and they probably do it a million times over. But if it happens, it just seems like there's a lack of I don't really know what I'm trying to say. There's just a lack of
I'm
connecting
wondering,
everybody.
Let's see, what else do we have here?
What are some principles of effective feedback and how it applies to the situation? I think effective feedback needs to be open-ended. You can't be like, you did this wrong. You have to show more than that, Does that make sense? I don't know.
no, it does.
Interesting.
Sorry, I'm ordering dinner because I forgot to cook. I'm in trouble right now, so.
It's
We're all
okay.
good.
What are you ordering for us?
Papa John,
Yeah,
what's
I'll,
up?
I'll give you my address.
Yeah, exactly.
Might be a hefty Uber fee, but
Yeah, it would. Oh, we're probably looking at what, 10 grand at least?
yeah. For it to get here hot, gotta.
So, did you actually hear that they're making flying cars soon? They're already building the pads up on top of the buildings to land.
It's about time because I've been waiting for the Jetsons predictions to come true.
Oh, and it totally is now. It's insane.
I am both incredibly excited and incredibly worried at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like they've been talking about making flying cars for forever. So we'll see if they actually make those soon.
That would be fun though. I won't lie.
Yeah.
It would be fun. Very risky and dangerous, but it would be definitely fun.
Absolutely.
But then again, where has ever been there fun that there isn't a little bit of risk at some point?
Um, what do you guys think are the key concepts or principles from this case study?
Communication is important,
But yeah,
Definitely.
definitely training.
and accountability.
Yep. You can't yell at the people below you, they're only doing their job of what they're told to do. So to go after somebody like that that's a big no.
And they can't read your mind. Like you told them, put the X on the product label, and they put
Mhm.
the X on the product label. Like
Sure did.
you should have been more specific, you know?
Yep. Excuse me.
Um, well, how did you guys do with the write-up? Do you feel like you did pretty well? I was kind of confused at the beginning because I felt like the instructions were pretty vague, but I feel like once I got going, I did pretty well on it.
I I have done a class with the case write-up stuff before, so it wasn't that difficult for me. I already kind of knew what outline I should work with because I've already done a class with it. So I think I did okay. I hope I did good, but I think I did good, but I kind of already knew what I was doing. So I just kind of went with what I knew and hope for the best.
It took some time. It,
Oh.
it took some time for sure.
I feel
But I
like
feel pretty confident, so.
mhm.
Mhm.
I feel like the hard part for me was bringing in outside sources. I felt like I don't know, I just felt like there wasn't a good way to like look into other sources that like fit this case. But I feel like I got some good sources.
And this is just the first one for this class, so we'll just get better as time goes on.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. No, that's true.
Practice makes perfect. You know,
No.
it's not always perfect. What were you saying, Morgan?
Oh, I was just saying that everybody gave some good insights and things like that on there. So, it's good feedback.
Mhm. I know I'm really looking forward to this class to just be able to develop some of those skills more.
Yes.
In my role, I won't be a manager, but I will be the administrative secretary, and I'll have to deal with a lot of different people in different departments, and in some ways, a lot of the skills is going to be extremely useful to me. And I'm really looking forward to really diving in into learning different ways to be managers. And
Yeah, for sure.
this case study gave a lot of good examples on how not to go about doing it.
Yes. I'm looking forward to the like getting into the accountability project more and like doing that, you know? Because I feel like, at least for me, it's been really helpful to like have this accountability, you know?
Mhm. I mean, I've been doing school for a couple years now. And I work full time. I've got 4 kids. I've got a husband. I've got church responsibilities. And one of my daughters has a rare autoimmune disease, and we almost lost her a couple years ago. So my focus has been on everybody else. So to be able to do the accountability and to bring it back home to me and to be able to focus on me, it's been nice.
Yeah, for sure. I also like that there's people in the class that we have as our accountability partners rather than just your friend, your husband, because yeah, yeah, they can hold you accountable, but it's not the same, you know. If
Yeah.
you're, oh, I was with you and I just it slipped my mind, you know.
Mhm.
But then if you have this other person that you only really know over a course, you know, they'll be like, that's not a good enough excuse.
Yeah. Different from family or friends or stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's not exactly an outsider, but it's someone that's going to be a little bit more blunt about what's going on rather than I'm gonna be nice because you're my kid or you're my wife or you're my husband or you're yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Another thing I don't know, I kept thinking about this is the way that you present yourself in your house is the way you present yourself at work.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if Simon has been frustrated and upset and he took it out on somebody. You kind of start going into those mentality things and psychological issues. And
Yeah.
so we always have to think about those things. I guess that's where I was just thinking when I went on my mission, I was thinking about what Gordon B. Hinckley said a long time ago, where I don't even remember the letter he read that a Catholic church member joined our church, and because he wasn't, they didn't say hi to him, they didn't say anything to him, he left the church. And that's kind of like what I'm kind of comparing with this case as well, is, sometimes instead of instead of being mean to Simon, we maybe, like I said, just sit down, talk to him, be like, what's going on? How can we help? What do you need training in? Things like that. Because, I used to be one of those ones that I would go punch somebody in the face and I'd be good with it. But you get older and your mentality starts to change, and more mature. So that's just the way I was raised. I'm not gonna lie. So
And I think honestly, his coworkers, it sounded like they took offense right away.
yeah.
And I don't think that they always fully understand what all that goes into being a manager.
No.
And so they just jump to conclusions and they become defensive.
They do.
And yes, Simon overreacted, but I think the employees might have too.
Yeah. If you think about it, I didn't bring that part, but yeah, I agree. Actually, that's a good way of looking at things.
So I think overall, a team meeting And just to kind of clear the air, everybody get back on the same page.
Yep.
I think that is probably, after Mary talks to Simon, I think that's probably one of the first things that needs to be done.
Oh, absolutely. I think a dang good group meeting should be held. I do think some apologies need to be added, but I
Definitely.
think people need to understand their jobs. And again, he did kind of step his boundaries too by going down there. So I probably would have got offended at first, but then I guess I'm one of those people that maybe he was having a bad day. Maybe I can go talk to him, what's going on? Because we're all human. We all make
Yeah.
mistakes. That's why we need to look at it.
Mhm.
Keep agreeing with you guys, and my mic is muted. I apologize.
No worries.
Any other thoughts on the case? Solid, solid. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was gonna say, I don't think I have anything.
Yeah, I was about to agree with that.
Good job.
You guys are awesome. It was fun.
Oh, yeah.
I was doing pathways. It was fun. So
I look forward to getting to know you guys better this semester.
Yes.
absolutely.
Same here.
It's a good group.
So far, I haven't had a bad group in Pathways yet. Let's hope for that streak that continues.
Yeah,
Knock on wood,
I
knock
missed
on wood.
So, well, thank you, everybody. This was a fun meeting.
Uh-huh.
Who's recording the meeting?
I am.
Okay. So-
I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say you're gonna turn that in then, or
I believe that I need to send it to everybody.
And then we each turn it in.
Mhm.
oh, okay.
Um, It's the week 3 study group. That assignment is where you submit the link. So I will send it to you in the same email thread on Canvas.
Okay. No, that
We use
works.
that. I've used that email thread all my Pathways. It's been really nice. Makes it really easy to kind of keep it together and
Mhm.
concise rather than all over the place.
Right. Great.
All right, everybody. Well, you all have a nice night.
You as
You
well. It was nice to meet you guys.
Delicious
You too.
food here again.
See you guys.
Bye.